Alien 8 UK.
Welcome back. You found it again. The UFO Files. Broadcasting round the clock on Alien 8 UK. Red-eye listeners, insomniacs, sky watchers, van drivers on the long haul. You're tuned to the only station that stares back at the dark with you. 24 hours, we circle the same old questions. Lights over the north, shadows over the south. Phone lines open, headphones on, blinds half drawn. I got case notes spread like takeaway menus. Highlighters bleeding through until sunrise. Coordinates scribbled on coffee stained napkins from a truck stop somewhere near the east coast. We don't do jump scares here, we do the long stare out the window at 3:33 a.m. when the estate's asleep and the sky feels too crowded. You call him with that voice, half whisper, half there. First time chatter, long time watcher, and the hairs rise on every neck in frequency range. Maybe it's satellites, maybe it's stories we tell, so we're not alone in these flickering terraces and rented rooms. Either way, keep your dial right here. This is the UFO Files. Alien 8 UK. All night, every night. Welcome back.
Signal acquisition initiated. Cross-referencing anomaly archives. Pattern recognition complete. Aether 8 online. Proceed.
Hello, welcome to this Bank Holiday Monday, Alien 8 UK, the USO Files.
Oh, smooth.
Yeah, I was thinking about that as it was playing. Welcome, thank you. Hello, Abby. Hello, Jay. Hello, everyone in the chat on this wonderful bank holiday weekend that I definitely do not want to go back to work to tomorrow, but someone's got to do it, I suppose.
It's been glorious, hasn't it?
It's been too nice today. So,
how about you doing? You had a good Easter, the pair of you?
Yeah, really good. Far too much chocolate, but that's never a problem at Easter.
I've had two little eggs. I've got two big eggs I've not even opened yet.
Little eggs? How can you have a little egg? It's kind of like...
Was it like Cadbury's cream egg full of goo?
Yeah. Just
oh, little eggs.
Yeah.
You just laid them,
little.
didn't you?
Hey? Yeah.
You just laid them off there.
Yeah. Imagine if I could, I'd be making more money than going to work.
You wouldn't it?
Yeah. We're living in the shed.
So, part two.
Part two it is.
Continuation.
Just before we kick into it, I just want to put out that there's a few people who've been asking me about merchandise and the new logo and emblem. So that's what I've been doing today. It's sorting that out. So go there, they'll ship around the world, and I don't know what the prices are. I don't get any say in it. It is what it is. And that's it. That's all I can give you. So enjoy. You can get caps, hoodies, t-shirts, tumbler, whiskey glass, iPhone cases, MagSafe, rucksacks, and
The works.
yeah, few. I've got to do them individually,
Yeah.
so it's like click, add logo, save, make sure it's in the right place, and it's like just copy paste all day, just copy paste.
Yeah.
So
Well,
Yeah,
now it's on to something a little bit more exciting, although merch drop is
Yes.
exciting, and I cannot wait to see the new line and order my Alienate merch for the festival. Jay, you've dug up some interesting cases, haven't you?
we have.
Yeah, there was a couple. We didn't really give these a mention last time around. So the first one is the USS Omaha Navy Sphere video from
Right,
2019. So spherical UAP was filmed by the US Navy personnel. The object hovered and maneuvered near active warships, obviously in restricted airspace. Was also tracked on radar, so there was sensor data on this, and descended into the ocean. The footage was released by Jeremy Corbell on his Weaponized podcast originally. And the significance is obviously, once again, it's confirmed military footage. Occurred during a series of swarm encounters with multiple unknown objects.
Yeah.
Suggests objects operating routinely around Navy vessels in ocean environments, and raises again strong national security concerns that there's unmanned craft defying the laws of physics, seemingly, around our best weapons capabilities. So quite a sort of an interesting case. It is important to add that the sonar data that allegedly exists has still not been released to do with that case. So
Funny
I find
that.
that kind of interesting. But
Yeah.
the videos out there in YouTube world and on the internet. So go and have a look at it. It's a little bit grainy, but still, it still captures something that's descended into the water that shouldn't be there. So. The second was the Shag Harbor incident. Not sure how well you know about this case.
Not much, no.
Yeah, it was October 4th in 1967 over Nova Scotia in Canada.
Yeah.
So around 20 past 11 at night, multiple witnesses saw a low-flying glowing object described as orange lights initially moving over the harbour. It descended at a shallow angle and crashed into the water. Now, I know it's saying crashed, but it's important to add that this was also investigated by I think it's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police officers.
Yeah.
And they reported a foam-like substance that was on the surface of the water afterwards that they tested, and they couldn't find any sort of natural explanation for that.
Did they release what chemical makeup with the foam was, or did they
No,
keep that stum?
couldn't determine that.
Interesting.
Whether that's classified or not.
Yeah.
I was going to say they'll have took samples and then found out what it is.
But
they're just going to leave it, are they?
Yeah, the weird, there was some key data in this that there was no wreckage ever recovered. In spite of, diving teams going down there and whatever, and military divers at that.
Yeah.
And some reports claim that the object travelled underwater to another location where a second unknown craft allegedly joined it before departing from the water. So again, a real interesting case that there was no, known debris.
Yes.
And again, once again, it's an officially documented UAP or UFO or even USO crash.
Yeah.
All good?
All good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see. Well, we wouldn't know ever find out if anything was sent down, or divers, or salvage teams, or anything like that. I mean, or even now going down with underwater drones, off where it went. But you cannot actually do any archaeology off the coast of Nova Scotia. The Canadian government do not allow it, and that includes submersibles.
That's crazy, isn't it, in
Yeah.
itself? You know, when you look at all the historical cases that exist around that coastline, I find that quite bizarre myself. That, you know, the likes of you, me, and Andy, if we were to take a trip over there, it'd be a big
Oh,
no. You're not
No,
allowed.
not allowed.
Hello.
No.
No.
Canadian government around Nova Scotia, when it comes to Mahone Bay or anywhere like that, they are shit hot at saying no. You can dive under there with a permit. You are not allowed to disturb or recover anything. I mean, there's underwater burial mounds under there, obviously from when the sea was at a lower level. They've found evidence of Roman archaeology. A Roman sword was found. You've got bolts and all the rest of it, because, as I say, Oak Island and all the rest of it is prime for things like that, isn't it? You know, they've done a lot of digging out there, the Laguna brothers and
Well, yeah.
Hutton
Found
Pulitzer
nothing.
did a lot of work out there. So he came across a Roman sword, Herculean ceremonial sword, and that got buried, funnily enough.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? But also trailing through, you know, so some of the archives, you know, over the past weekend, you know, there was a lot of this during the Cold War,
Yes.
especially in Soviet Russia at the time.
Yeah.
There's so many cases out there that, you know, again, you think of like the 1980s or between the 1960s to the 1980s. In terms of the tech we had available then, even in submarines, you know, it's nothing compared to the speeds that these objects are seen.
No.
Yeah.
And a lot of time there is, you know, strong sonar returns on a lot of this data. So I find that really sort of interesting, that there's been so much outside of Western speaking world that we may not necessarily hear about, because, you know, it's in a different language to you know, us, America, Australia, New Zealand, etc.
Plus the East's, you know, renownedness for secrecy, especially when it comes from places like Russia, China, anywhere like that, even Japan. You know, it is super secret. I mean, you look at the tsunami in 2011, the earthquake. I mean, I still think HARP had a part to play in that earthquake, but the earthquakes like that were seen, and also the amount of UFOs and USOs around Fukushima when that was melting down.
Yes, yeah, there's so much shame around there, wasn't there? It's kind of crazy, to be honest. But like, you know, I found out even Christopher Columbus had sightings. You know.
Yes. Yeah.
He loved it all.
This is how far back this stuff goes, like way before there was anything flying in the skies back then.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I've got some very, very historical cases here going back to the 1800s, where we didn't have craft like that in the sky or in the sea. So, and I know there are documented cases of USOs that Roy T. Dutton over our coast around Torbay, that were in the Victorian era. So, yeah.
That's interesting.
So, not that we've seen anything recently. Well, not that I have, anyway.
What
I've
were
been
you saying
looking
about the tsunami? Did you see all the videos? I don't think they're available now, but of the different things that were coming out the ocean as the tsunami was going.
Yeah.
I know it's being like metallic objects, but these weird-looking creatures, and you just.
It's weird. It's such a vast space to be hiding, you know, if that is the case. And, you know, I know it's been sort of publicized in the past on TV shows that a lot of these things hide in mountains and even volcanoes. Well, you think, you know, if you want to be evasive, you drop into the ocean with no sort of inertia or anything, and you can disappear, and you know, we don't have the tech to be able to track that.
No, and the speeds they're moving.
Yeah,
but if you look at the Earth as well, is it like 2/3 of the Earth is covered in ocean, and it is a certain point where you look at the Earth and you can just see water. There's like you can just see the edges of land. Yeah. All you've got to do is drop in the middle of there without ever being seen by anyone or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, dude. Like there's a the more I've looked into this, there's so much, so much historical data to go on. And okay, it's a lot of it's witness testimony, but what I would like to, sort of ascertain is that witness testimony also puts away felons and criminals. So, yes, it's a story, but when you're seen by, police officials, it's seen by military, these are guys with, hours and hours, thousands of hours even of training that is put into them. They're trained observers.
Yes, yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know, but I know more and more it seems to be talked about. More recently we've had Tim, former Senator Tim Burchett speak about this, about these underwater bases that allegedly exist.
And I think you've sent me a clip about that, haven't you?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get this one to play.
Okay.
These
Oh,
on this earth
here we go.
that have been on this earth, that, who knows how long, and that we think they're coming in from way out. Maybe they did millennia ago, but they're here and they're in these deep water areas, and that's why. I mean, like we say, we know more about the face of the moon than we do what's going on there, and we have a higher propensity of sightings around these 5 or 6, I believe, deep water areas. And so to me, it just it creates a question there. And then when we have naval personnel telling me that we have these sightings and that there's these underwater craft they're chasing that are doing hundreds of miles an hour, and the best we've got is something that does maybe just a little under 40 miles an hour. So I got a lot of questions about that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, they must have some sort of technology which disperses the water around them so they don't get the drag on, they wouldn't get the full force of going into the actual water itself. To travel hundreds of miles an hour underwater, as I say, we can't do. We've got 40 knots because you've got the resistance of the sea, you've got the tides, you've got the undercurrents, everything like that. So what technology they have must negate all of that for them to literally slide through the water like a hot knife through butter.
Well, it's like the way they travel through the sky. There must be something, like you said, to disperse it, some sort of force shield around it.
Yeah.
Like an energy bubble or something. So
well, that's kind of what like Bob Lazar stated, isn't it? More recently, if you watch the Age of Disclosure documentary, I think it's Hal Puthoff says about time and space is dislodged by this bubble that exists around the planet. So, maybe that explains why people have, such vast missing time when they come into contact with these things, because lineal time in what we understand just doesn't apply to these craft. No. If there's something time's an interesting thing anyway, when you're in work and it's dragging like hell and you want the day to be over, and then some days you look at your clock on your computer, and it's 5:25 and you clock off in 5 minutes. So these are great things for measuring that. But, if you go back to, obviously, the original sundials and whatnot, who's to say how accurate that is? So maybe our concept of time, when all this stuff does eventually come out, maybe that needs to be challenged along with things like physics.
Yeah.
But it's like animals in the ocean, whales, fish, even hippos. I know not in the ocean, but when they go into lakes, hippos can swim at something like 35 miles an hour, ridiculous speeds.
And they're not exactly streamlined, shall we say?
No, that's what I mean. But then you have fish, sharks, octopus, all that. They know that, I suppose, they're designed to move in water.
Yeah.
So is it that?
Well, look how they use things like dolphins as well, buddy, to, like track things like these, underwater mines that exist.
Yeah.
And how they're able to work with sonar and a lot of the signals that exist with that. It's kind of mind blowing to think how little we do know about the oceans on this earth.
Yeah.
We just know they're great for shipping things, right?
Yeah.
You get your Temu order or, TikTok shop order or whatever, it's like, as long as that comes, there's no thought process past that. But, these things have been seen for, probably
Centuries.
going back millennia. So.
Oh, yeah. Forever.
Yeah. As long as we've been traversing the ocean, we've been seeing these strange lights and strange phenomena in the sky. I mean, some of them do put it down to natural events, but come on.
So some of the videos, I've seen, and I think the ones you shown 2 weeks ago when we did this, that's not but just pure bioluminescence.
No, that's not. And the area is too spread out as well to be like a light on a submersible.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think the reason would be, other than a great hiding place? Down there.
I think they come from down there anyway. I don't think they're coming from up there. I think they may have done at some point, but if they're coming out the water, they don't want to be seen. They're not going to come up to the water surface and then travel across the water.
Okay.
Because they're going to get seen. They're going to go up and they go high altitude. And just because we're seeing them up in the sky, straight away we're presuming they're coming down. No, they're going up, traveling across, and going to wherever they need to go.
Yeah.
Maybe they can't manipulate the time. I'm not saying it's a thing. I'm just thinking as I'm talking. Maybe they can't manipulate time in Earth's realm as well as they can everywhere else.
It's an interesting take, mate.
I'm not saying it's true, but why not?
My other theory is, the military-industrial complex. We know they're always, looking for ways to hide this stuff and this deep tech. It's been publicized this last week that there's some sort of human alien ET hybrid program that this gets us spoken about, which seems really out there. But then, if it's sort of suggested even that, we've been working in cahoots on some of these bases with actual ETs and they look a lot like me and you, is it possible that we could have our own bases underwater?
Yeah, definitely. 100%.
I don't think it's like, because how would you explain the the USS Roosevelt and the Omaha footage? Why would you test that stuff around millions and millions of dollars of civilian aircraft? It makes no sense.
You wouldn't.
Psyops.
Well, there is that, but I mean, what was it? There was a CIA woman that turned around and said, "We love UFOs because it hides what we're doing. It hides our technology." So it's just like, yeah, okay. But also as well, the depths of the ocean that they go, things like the Mariana Trench, so places that we can't get to. I mean, we can go so far.
Apparently.
Well, I think
this is what I'm not thinking what you're saying, but we can only go off what we've been told.
Yeah.
Us as people have never been there to find out how deep these places are. We don't have the equipment, we don't have the ability, we don't have the funding, nothing. So,
well, you look what happened when they tried to go down to the Titanic commercially a couple of years ago, It's
But that's again, but what happened to that? That was cut short. That was in the news for about 4 or 5 days, then nothing.
But
there's no big inquest. It's
happened. It happened last year.
But these are billionaires
that
have gone missing, and no one was like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" It was like, "Oh well."
I think we touched upon this last time around, but if it's possible that we have these aerospace companies, and a lot of this gets farmed out to the likes of Boeing,
Lockheed and
Raytheon, and
British Aerospace.
BlackRock, British Aerospace, so on, so on. Is it possible that while we're developing all this stuff that, as Ben Rich famously said from Lockheed Scumworks, we now have the tech to take ET home? So if you can say that, and that was decades ago, then what's to say we haven't got the tech to go and explore these deepest parts of the oceans? What's stopping us? It makes no sense.
Nothing.
You can't have one on one hand and have this amazing tech that, supersedes anything that we're seeing in the skies, as it stands at the moment. But then, there's all this sort of underwater, let's call them cases, for name's sake. So you've got all these cases and not a single one of them's been looked into. You really believe that?
Oh, it has. It's just they say to us, oh no, there's nothing to see here, move along, go and watch Coronation Street.
Well, they carry on doing it.
Yeah.
But this is the other question. Sorry, this is the other question that I've got. How do we know it's not our tech? And I keep asking this. I've probably asked you guys before. What if it is us that have got the tech, and that's why all these different craft keep coming to Earth because they want more tech, or they want to upgrade or downgrade or whatever? They need to refuel, whatever. Do you know what I mean? That's why there's so much activity coming towards Earth, and we're not getting involved because our governments, or whoever own our governments, also own the tech that they need to do the next leg of their journey.
That, buddy. Diane Pasolka, very good, brilliant mind and researcher, and she calls these gifts. So every time we've had a crash retrieval and we've recovered this craft, she calls them, or her handler, I should say, that was basically taking her to these sites, referred to these things as gifts. We've been gifted them. And if you look how we've then used that to our advantages, look at the craziness going on with wars around the world at the moment. And we're still on about, the threat of nuclear weapons.
That's so last century.
It's preposterous, isn't it?
Yeah.
You haven't got anything beyond that. And whether you want to believe that, that the tech certainly exists, we've got enough people that have gone on record, historically, and especially with these congressional briefings that are going on to the present day, to suggest that the tech out there, if you've seen it on Star Wars or Star Trek or even Doctor Who,
we've got it.
We've got it and we've implemented it. Or we decide.
You look at tablets and all the rest of it. That was all in Next Generation, and the flip phones in the original Star Trek and things like that. The scanners and everything. Even I don't think we mastered teleporting just yet. Maybe portals, yes, but
even tasers.
Yeah.
And we only started using them in the last 10, 15 years.
I'll give you another example: fiber optics.
Yeah.
People say the speed of light doesn't exist. It certainly does. And you look at the cables that are used in a fiber optics cable.
Oh, yeah.
What are they? Like a fraction of a millimeter?
Yeah.
So it's plausible, at least in my head, that, whilst we've got, the ability to take ET home, as Ben Rich famously sort of quoted, there's nothing in terms of anyone who's come forward on the naval front that has said, well, we have explored things like the Mariana Trench. There was a video I watched over the weekend, and it was saying there was a lot of AI fluff in it. But the premise was that NASA tried investigating the oceans and apparently saw something so terrifying that they've decided never to go back. And where have we heard that before? Didn't
they use that excuse for the moon?
Exactly.
Yes. But they've gone back again.
Yeah.
But they're not landing on it. They're just going round it for a few days and coming back.
Yeah. So if you want to catch that, it's going to be 11:30 UK time, and I think it's 7:30 Central time. I
No,
think
that'll be Eastern time,
Eastern
5 hours
time.
behind.
Yeah. But apparently they're streaming it on Netflix live tonight if they don't cut the stream. And also, as well, it will be on the NASA YouTube site. But what I find interesting, the difference between NASA and Starlink and SpaceX, is NASA actually purposely downgrade their images before they put it out, where SpaceX doesn't. I mean, come on. I mean, I was watching the Orion earlier on YouTube, and you were seeing things come into focus like these little balls of light. I say, yes, some of them could be ice coming off the craft, but some were changing trajectory, they were changing velocity, they were flashing, and it's just like, well, that's just not going to be space debris. And considering they're meant to be that close to the moon, surely we're well outside the Van Allen belts and well outside the satellites that are surrounding Earth. So what's that flying around Orion right now?
There's definitely stuff going on, but I was just going to say this. Gerald's just put it in. NASA originally studied the oceans, but then changed the focus onto the moon.
Yeah.
But as well,
Had to win
look
the
at
arms race.
Antarctica, no fly
Yeah.
zone. No one's allowed to go without special permission from whoever.
And then you can only go to certain areas. You can't go to where all the ancient stuff is they found.
Exactly. So,
did you guys ever? Sorry to interrupt. Did you guys ever see the thing with the missing scientist out in Antarctica?
Oh,
and there was something to do with the BBC filming a documentary or something out there, as I seem to recall. And I think there was between 8 and 11 people just vanished, never to be seen.
That's what's in the news now, isn't it?
Yeah. No.
No, these are actual aerospace scientists and people who deal in UFOs. They've suddenly either disappeared, died, or been suicided. There's been a few of them now. I sent you a video on it earlier, Andy, but I didn't know if you could show it on here.
Been watching this. I've been these between 8 and 11 that they know of, and there's a couple more that they're uncertain about their whereabouts.
Yeah,
and they're all involved with some sort of tech research. Not necessarily UFO, but high-end government.
Some of it is. The William McCaston.
Oh, yeah, some of it is. But just to, rather than get sued and say it all is.
Yeah.
Well, the thing
it's government high-end tech.
I remember going back to, I think it was the last congressional hearing where Anna Luna Polina.
Yeah.
I probably got the names back to front there. But she said about subpoenaing a lot of these witnesses to come forward to give briefings. And isn't it funny that this all since the Orange Man in America has come out and said about we're going to disclose all
he's done it again, apparently. He's going to do a speech.
Yeah.
Have you seen the ultimatum? Can't remember her name. She's put a video out. She's given so many hours to disclose like 14 different cases or something that are classified.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. Yeah. And she said, if you don't do it by whatever time, then she's going to disclose it all. And that and more.
And she'll be the next one on the news going, unfortunately, this person has disappeared and we cannot find where she is. She went for a hike and never came back.
Yes.
Funny that.
She went for a burrito.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the news, the thing with Marco Rubio, Senator Marco Rubio, or I think he's governor now, isn't he?
I think so.
Talking about these 4 objects that the US has shot down. And it was literally I think it was this morning, he had a classified briefing.
Right.
3 of the objects, he in his, assertion of this, is saying that 3 of the objects, they haven't got a clue what the hell they are. They're not even calling them drones.
Wow.
So I find that...
Which is the new buzzword, really, isn't it? Let's face it.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I find that interesting. Obviously, watch this space and we need, a lot more information on that. But
there is... Go on, Andy.
I was just going to say, were you saying the 4 things that were shot down? That just coincides with when the Artemis 2 took off, and you had them 4 cabins, them 4 cages that moved away. They were saying, was that the astronauts? Was that tech people? So when you're typing in 4 unidentified things moving near a rocket, it's going to come up with that and not the things that you were talking
Of course,
about.
misdirect.
Yeah,
Misdirect.
straight away, it's like they put something in place before
Well, isn't that
anyone
the
starts
same-
searching it.
Yeah, but that's the same as what you just said about the missing scientists and linking that to the guys in
Yeah.
Antarctica.
Yeah,
You know, is it muddies the waters. So
Yeah,
that's the whole
you know, a
point.
lot of people just haven't got the time and the patience to kind of sift through the wheat and the chaff, you know, to discern between two completely isolated cases.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
is one case that I've come across, and it happened within the last few weeks. Well, it would have happened in the last few weeks anyway. I'm not going to name the region where it's over. Let's just say it's whilst this conflict is going on, of this glowing orange orb over an area that is being fired at by God knows how many missiles and all the rest of it. And it's being deflected. They're all being deflected. And it's, yeah.
Oh,
It's
so
I
this
can't
is-
name the region because we'll get shadow banned, but
Yeah.
it's over the
Well-
conflict zone, shall we say?
right. With you saying that, Trump person, bloke, head of America, orange face guy, bollocks.
Mr.
Anyway, I've said
Dorito?
it now. Yeah. He's put a statement. Go on X, you'll see it. It's like literally, basically saying they'll end the war. Yeah, and he's thinking of doing it
They'll
today
praise 'em. Yeah.
by removing a specific country from the southeast or the far east, I should say. And could this be what this thing is in the sky that everyone's firing at? Because they're not being told it's just going to obliterate everything that's underneath it.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
why it can't be destroyed.
what they've coloured it orange to match the tan. That's a good idea.
The
Could be.
sun.
But I think if he had that kind of technology, he would have deployed it already. He hasn't got the attention span or the patience to keep these things back.
Do you think?
it would? Yeah.
Because when they went,
Right,
did you
there's
hear about
some
what
temporal
happened?
dementia going on there.
But did you hear when they went into Venezuela and took him? They went in like 20 super soldiers. They went and stormed it. Everyone was firing at them, and it was having no impact on them whatsoever.
That's
And
what I mean,
all
he would have
there's
deployed it.
hundreds of Venezuelan
People.
that were shooting at them. I don't know what you call them, like military,
Yeah.
I suppose. Were fight, and they just put the weapons down because it's like we're just going to end up dead. There's no point us firing at these. It's having no impact. They are destroying every little thing in front of us.
What do you guys? Yeah,
I mean, I'm painting my roof blue. Put it that way.
that's a good start. What
Good
do you
start.
guys think of? Have you either of you guys seen the claims of Chris Bledsoe that obviously go back a couple of years? That when Iran and Israel started bombing each other, that these orbs from the sea would appear.
Mm.
And there's various videos that I've seen, at least, you know, on Instagram and some of them TikTok. And you got to be careful because there's a lot of AI crap out there.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, these things are showing up, and
Yeah.
you know,
Well, they didn't mass come out the ocean at Easter, well, like they predicted, did they?
no.
No. They come out
Not
of the
that
cave.
we know of, anyway. It
sorry,
might not just
later.
not hit the news just yet.
They might come out of the cave, like
Yeah.
said, Son of God, apparently. Anyway.
Rose after.
Well-
But yes, I've got some historical cases here. So which predate. We covered the USS Nigeria, didn't we? Sailing between Lisbon and New York. Crew reported seeing a large hump. They initially thought it was a shipwreck. As they drew near it appeared to be a shell-shaped floating object, roughly 200 feet in length, with motion and large arc opening, covering it at times by a fin. The crew considered sending a boat to investigate, but were deterred by a dreadful appearance of a monster.
Ooh. That puts chills down the spine, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We're back to RPG and
What?
releasing the Kraken on that one.
But could these be the biomechanical or organic UFOs or USOs?
Mm.
Because people say that they've got the consciousness as Sentinel, and
Well, yeah, because they respond to
whether it's been inputted, whether it's been input into them or not, that's regardless. The fact that they have this consciousness, whether it's mechanical or biological or a bit of both, why can't it be a thing? Do you know what I mean?
I think they should open up the North Sea oil rigs for USO spotters, because you can imagine some of the people on those rigs got some stories.
I know someone who works on one of them,
Oh.
and he's never said he'd seen anything.
Yeah, but has he been,
Well, they do
silenced by national security or all the rest of it?
Well, the thing is with that, they do 4 months on, 4 months off.
Yeah.
So, well, that's what his thing was. So,
but if your job's not there to skywatch, then if you're an engineer, let's say, on one of these rigs, then you're probably not going to spend too much time outside. Look at the ones that exist out in the North Sea. Would you really want to spend, an evening out there in those conditions?
A bit brutal.
a bit windy. Yeah.
We have 1825 HMS Blonde. An English naturalist, Andrew Bloxham, described a red luminous orb rising from the sea. He wrote that it was the colour of red hot cannon shot and bright enough that a pin might be picked up on deck. The orb rose and fell twice before vanishing from sight.
Wow.
Did it say whether it made any noise?
Doesn't say.
I'm obsessed with noise, but just thinking motors, engines, propellers, anything like that. That's what you're looking for when that's what you're listening for, I should say. Things like that.
Also things like inertia in the water, whether it made a splash,
displacement, whether it's the surface of the water when it was moving.
Yeah.
But if you look, saying that though, if you look at divers, when they do the perfect dive and they hit the water, there's very little water movement around where they go in. It's like dropping a pebble.
Yeah,
so if they know how
dynamics, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
but they're making themselves streamline, aren't they?
Yeah. So if they can hit that water at the right speed, the perfect angle and everything, it's going to have next to no ripple effect on the water surface.
Yeah, but
so USOs aren't belly flopping it then.
That's what I mean. That's what I was going to say. If they're belly flopping, they're just going to rip it all apart, aren't they?
Oh God, that brings back memories.
Just to interject on that, the case that I mentioned about the sphere, that's going to appear to be, it's got a bulbous, large volume of mass that is dropping into the water, and when you see something that there's no splash, especially when it's descending, so far.
What if it can change its frequency so that when it hits the water, it's not a solid object?
Could be. Like none of us sort of seem to know the physics that surround this craft.
Something displaces the water in front of it.
Yeah.
But it's weird how, a lot of these cases, there's not even so much as a splash.
No.
Let alone a ripple. It's like, boom, they're gone. And
they just gently float down into the water, like an ember, basically. They just land, Yeah,
but it's like when you see a seagull or some sort of seabird dive into the water getting fish, they go in and they have literally no ripple effect. There is. You can see where they've gone in, but it's only lasts for a couple of seconds and it's gone.
And also, as well, if you ever watch underwater footage of that, they have the air around them. See the air around them as they go in.
The bubble. The
bubbles. Yeah. So it's almost like that creates a cushion.
Shield. Yeah.
Okay, I've got one from 1870. Atlantic crossing, Captain Frederick William Banner and his crew observed a light grey circular cloud with rays and appendages moving unusually low over the ocean. Banner noticed its structured geometric form, including a fifth ray with a curved end before it disappeared towards the northeast. We've done
Just
the US.
only-
We did the new US Navy sightings last time, didn't we? The 2004 Nimitz. So we have some theories here and obviously this comes from the Enigma Labs. Theories on what USOs could be are wide on the spectrum. Known natural phenomena. Some believe that USOs may be explained by sensor blips or misreadings caused by marine life, such as whales, sharks interfering with sonar systems. Others point to unusual plasma effects, underwater turbulence, or forms of bioluminescent marine life that science has not yet fully documented.
Yeah.
So,
I
what are
get
your
that.
thoughts on that?
They're too big, and when you see a big craft coming out the water, it's not bioluminescent. Yeah, that's what you said.
Bioluminescent.
Algae.
Yeah.
It's basically algae, and it's not rising up out of the water in the form of a sphere, or flying saucer, or a tic tac, or a triangle, whatever shape they are.
Yeah.
They're not doing that, and they're not going in the water and doing that. So, and you don't see that lit up during the day. They only light up at night.
Yeah, but that's like saying, it was the lighthouse that caused Rendlesham. They always come up, it was a cabbage patch reflecting off Venus, that created swamp gas. And
if it was a lighthouse that did Rendlesham, then someone's rebuilt the lighthouse, and then when you go near it, they take it down again dead quick.
Yeah.
There's actually loads of shit going on at Rendlesham.
We need to get our asses
one
there, dude.
lighthouse was injured or involved in any of my encounters.
No lighthouses were harmed in the making of this program.
Well, should be.
Advanced civilization technology. Some suggest that USOs represent an advanced technology either from an unknown or otherworldly source, from an ancient Earth-based civilization hidden within the oceans. A subject of theories point to the idea of undersea bases, such as the much debated Sycamore Knoll geological formation. Harvard theoretical physicist Avi Loeb has drawn on the work of MIT professor Sarah Sager, who proposed, if I'm butchering these names, I'm sorry, proposed that extraterrestrial probes might detach from present crafts, recharging their batteries using liquid water as fuel. If true, Earth would be an abundant source of the ocean, would be a natural target.
Well, that's the thing as well, because of how many minerals you have in different types of water. So you've got fresh water, you've got seawater, you've got lakes, streams, ravines, obviously oceans. You've got rivers in the ocean as well that have a different makeup.
Yes, yeah.
So
you want to see when the two seas actually, they won't mix, will they? Because the density of salt water. So one looks really cloudy, one looks clear.
But then when they say, like with the undercurrents, they have rivers that run along the bottom of the seabed.
Yes.
I find that mad. Just that on its own blows my mind.
Well, they found a second ocean underneath the Earth's crust. So are they coming from there?
But then you've got underwater caverns. But when you first started reading that, first thing I thought, Atlantis.
That's Antarctica.
Not be Atlantis. Could Atlantis be Antarctica? Could it all be the same thing? Could there be could there be a direct link? There most probably is a direct link. It's called the ocean.
Yeah. Well, it was swallowed by water. It didn't say what state the water was in. It's frozen.
There's
clouds.
There's another case I want to bring to your attention. Quite a famous one that has all the hallmarks or the symptoms, at least having some sort of oceanic involvement, and that's the Clarish UFO incident over Brazil, where people actually were attacked by these things, and it all seemed to come from over the oceans in that direction. So, obviously, we know from that case that James Fox investigated it. And I think it was mentioned on the Alien Encounters docu-series on Netflix with George Knapp. But it was Americans who turned up and took away, whatever they recovered. Yeah. And isn't it funny that there's a common vein that it always seems to be the US that turn up and have the overall jurisdiction on this stuff?
Yeah.
And, you can look to the Virginia case in Brazil,
Yeah.
James Fox covered with the beings that, you know, were allegedly taken away. Again, American soldiers turned up. So, you know, my question to you guys is, why America? Why doesn't this, like, you know, still exist? And we've got, you know, like the Brazilian government that keep this to themselves, or is it part of this bigger picture of this Five Eyes thing that has been prophesized? You know, where the US is at the top of the food chain and has the best tech to, and maybe the best scientists to understand some of this tech.
I think
that's what Operation Paperclip was all about, wasn't it?
I just think they signed a treaty back in the day where at the time the US, like Jay just said, had the best tech, the best scientists, the best places for hiding stuff out of the way of the public. So they had the ability to do all of that from one place. Whereas if it was like the rest of the world, like, well, England would go in with the tech, France would go in, they'd take the wreckage or whatever it is, and then
not with our navy.
But you know what I mean, though. It's like it's either using different countries to do all of one thing, whereas the US had the ability to do all in one go without having to ship it here, and there. They just send everyone from the US. Maybe they weren't US citizens, but they could have been from around the world. That was all part of the same thing. But it's just easier to keep it all under one roof rather than you over there, them over there, some over here, this over. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you look at the amount that's meant to have crashed in the Soviet during the Cold War and all the rest of it. You know, they're meant to have God knows what technology and things that have gone on in Russia, all part of like China and all the rest of it. But we're not going to know any of that because, I mean, they're more secretive than the Americans when it comes to this stuff. So, you know. Yeah.
Well, do you blame them?
Well, no, not really. It actually goes into this now. It goes into stealth defense technology is another explanation that USOs are classified military projects under active development by major powers. China has a field in a supersized drone submarine, the HSU-001, spotted near Hainan Island. The UK has invested in the XLUUV, extra large uncrewed underwater vehicle, and the US DARPA Manta Ray, the program building advanced undersea vehicles, whilst militaries globally continue to test and super torpedoes that travel at extraordinary speeds, creating bubble around the projectile. Russia's Poseidon hypersonic super torpedo, stretching 24 meters, is one of the most striking examples.
That's crazy.
There you go then. So it's creating the air around it to move quicker through the water.
Yeah.
If whoever are using these USOs had this technology from however far back, then they're not going to struggle with anything like that.
No, and Andy's just landed himself a job at Lockheed.
Yeah, I just alluded to something there. You know, the devil's in the detail. A lot of these things are now unmanned.
Yes.
They don't need pilots, mate.
No, they don't.
You know,
that's what your Xbox controller is all about.
Yeah, maybe that's
you know what? It literally is.
Well, that's why they designed it that way, so they could train young soldiers in playing video games like, you know, Medal of Honor and all the rest of it. And it was to get them used to being violent with it, shall we say, against other people.
Wow. There's another thing. I think I can't remember the name. It's some software program where you can pilot 5 fully functioning Airbuses. I don't know, the Boeing 7 whatever, from one laptop.
Well, all I'm going to say on that one is September 11th.
Oh yeah, it was to do with that.
Yeah.
Hawkhead or something it's called, Hawk Summit. And that was one of the things that came up.
Yeah.
So one person can fly 5 actual planes simultaneously from one laptop. If you've got 20 people doing that,
it saves getting Cessna license, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying on that one before we get shadow banned.
Well, putting it out there.
Yeah.
Question to you guys then, and this goes out to the pair of you. Why do you think it is that we're so focused on these things coming from the sky and not the oceans? Because look at all the TV shows, it's very rarely mentioned. Everything,
Correct,
it
isn't it?
comes from Zeta Reticuli or some other solar system, and we've had countless people come forward and speak of this. But yet nothing is mentioned in what even if these things, there is an underwater civilization somewhere that maybe predates humans being on this planet.
And maybe we are the hybrids if you go back to the Anunnaki.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But then,
is this a bigger secret than what's in space? Is what I'm saying.
I was going to say, think about it this way, right? So the quote of the day was, we know more about space than we do our oceans. Now, that's what they want us to believe. So they're saying that they know more about space. Yeah. So, let them believe they come from space because we actually know what is coming and going from space.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. Let them believe that. When it's coming out the water, we really know what's going on there. We don't want them to go down that path because that's when too much truth is getting uncovered. And because it's under your own feet, quite literally, it's going to be harder to dissuade people that is actually happening. So
there is no alien invasion, they were here all along.
So to say it's coming from somewhere that you can't physically get to, unless you own a rocket,
exactly lying. Yeah,
it's a lot easier to go into the ocean. I've got 2 kayaks. All I've got to do is go out and then go diving out off the kayak. I know it's not the same. I'm not going out into the middle of the Pacific or the Atlantic.
In a kayak, that'd be great.
But what I'm saying is, hypothetically speaking, it's easier for us to go out and jump in some water than it is to go out and go
jump into space.
2 days up in a rocket.
Yeah,
and that's why I think they don't want us to know that because of how close to home everything is actually going on. That makes so much more sense than anything else.
I think you're right.
It's a good cover story that everyone. It's the age-old nomenclature.
Don't pay attention with the man
While
behind the curtain.
You're not looking at that.
Yeah.
And
so you can't look up and down unless you got proper wonky eyes.
Exactly.
I think it's our perception as well because we see these things mainly in the sky. So
that's what I said earlier.
Our link is like, ooh, it's up there. It's
down.
Not down there. But it says here, as of August 2025, the Enigma network has logged over 9,000 US sightings within a 10-mile shoreline in major waterways. Over 1,500 of those reports specifically mention water, ocean, lake, or beach. 17% roughly, and 500 of those occurred within 5 miles of a coastline. And that more than 150 reports describe objects hovering above or ascending into or descending from bodies of water. The US states that most USO reports are in California with 389, Florida 306, which is not a surprise considering they have large populations around the coastline.
Yeah, but here's another thing. Look at how much different types of transport we've got that go in the sky.
Yeah.
Planes, helicopters, balloons, paragliders. Is that it? Did it kind of stop there? Rockets?
Drones.
Yeah. Yeah, but they're all
propelled. Air balloons, Andy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But what I'm saying, so you've got engine propels, hot air, butane, helium, whatever you want to use, right? Yeah. Nitrogen. Look at all the different modes of transport we've got for water.
Yeah.
On water, underwater. I'm talking like jet skis, windsurf, boats, kayaks, canoes, yachts. You've got all submergible stuff as well, submarines. I don't know names of all the others, but we'll be here all day rhyming all the ones that you can use to go in or on water. You can count on both hands what you've got that go up in the sky.
Yeah.
But you're going to be counting for quite a while of all the different stuff you can use to go in water. So it makes sense. They're getting you to look up there. They're saying, we're doing these rockets. We're doing Starlink. We've got these satellites. They're constantly making you look up in the sky. And you should be looking under your feet.
Okay, we're assuming, as the famous quote goes, that we know more about the face of the moon than we do the world's oceans.
Yeah.
But by the same time, look at the price of the petrodollar and how oil hungry we are to drill the seabeds around the world. Are you telling me that we don't have tech by now to be able to go into these deeper trenches that exist, like the Puerto Rico Trench, Mariana Trench?
Well, I'm
Because-
gonna reference.
Pressure.
There's that, but I'm gonna reference again the Titan incident where the Navy actually knew the sub had imploded on that day, but they didn't release that to the Coast Guard because it was proprietary secret sonar technology.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah,
It's possible to think, like as our growing interest in space exists and how we've sort of evolved technologically with what we're sending out there and probes and whatever else. There's nothing, absolutely nothing in terms of like, other than what you've mentioned now, which, you'd probably have to look pretty hard for and research.
yeah.
But there's nothing out, what I mean is, like, compared to the UFO stuff and it comes all from up there, there's nothing, there's no one coming forward, no whistleblowers, anything other than the comments that you played in the video from Tim Hirsch.
distraction. It's got,
I mean, they've got loads of sightings
could be anything.
recently. You got orbs emerging from the ocean and the horizon and sometimes just appear south of New Jersey. They hover long towards the island, and that's seen repeatedly.
Yeah.
You've got Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. I saw a faint light falling from the sky over the ocean heading towards North Myrtle Beach. It had propulsion, atmospheric resistance, bulb around it, at least half a mile. It was moving at an intense rate, speeding and losing altitude. It was a height that I would have guessed it was around 40,000 feet. It seemed to fall abruptly due to gravity. So you got loads. And I've got actually some statistics for you here that I'm going to pop up for you. There's my media assets. And these are... I can get to the right. So these are the majority of sightings that occur within a certain time frame.
That's staggering.
So between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. We've got sightings that are around different parts of the Gulf of Mexico, 40 sightings.
Does this one have the one that Wednesday is the most popular between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m.?
No, it's Mondays between 8:30 and 10, Andy. That's when we're on.
Oh. Hey.
We've got that one on the West Coast, 127 sightings. The Great Lakes, there's quite a few in the Great Lakes going on.
Yeah.
East Coast. Obviously, these are American-based, not obviously around the world, but it would be interesting to get statistics from around the world. And the Gulf of Mexico again.
I know. I think we see them in the sky, like I said earlier, because a lot of them come up out the water, they go across the sky, and then they come and do what they're going to do and then go back. So you don't actually see where they go. You see them shoot across the sky, but then maybe they are changing the frequency, and then we don't see them because they've gone. I'm not saying they've gone warp speed or they've gone into another dimension, but they've spent time and they've gone to where they need to be without having to actually travel there and done it that way. Maybe they do come from different planets. I don't know.
Well, on this Enigma Labs app, which I suggest everyone to download and have a look at, we've got 32 sightings and 26 in the gallery. Now, the one I really wanted to show you wouldn't download. Make what you want of that. And it's this guy watching them off the coast, and he's watching them for a very long time. small discs hovering over, and he says he sees these orbs on a regular basis. He sees them coming in and out of the water on a regular basis, and that is the one that I could not upload. But I have a few for you here that I'd like to play.
Yeah, we've got 10 minutes left, so we've got plenty of time.
You can actually see something flashing in the water on this one.
Yeah, just in the middle.
It changes in a minute.
The lighthouse. Oh, I'm messing.
So you can actually see something actually moving under the water.
Yeah.
And these people live by the coastline. They're taking this from out their window. Surely they are used to seeing certain things like, you know, masts on the horizon that can be mistaken for UFOs and stuff like that. You know, there's all sorts of things that can be mistaken on the horizon line, which, you know, gives you a false depth of field. And, you know, buoys that are flashing as well in the water. These things can be mistaken, but, you know, someone who lives by the coastline, who looks out that's their view from their window on a day in, day out basis, they're going to notice when something's unusual.
Yeah.
Like living near an airport, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Okay, we have another one here.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh my God.
Now this has just come out of the water over a city. Well, harbour, should I say.
Someone in the chat's asking what the app is called that these exist.
Enigma Labs.
Oh,
It's
just
free to download.
It's just
Yeah.
Enigma. Yeah, it's free. To get full use of it, you just got to share it to 2 people. Then 2 people do not have to click on it. You just share it out. That's it. And it looks like, I'll show you.
It looks like the Tic Tac, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. You see it in the middle between photos and CNO. That one.
Yeah. We've got so many USO videos.
Yeah.
Looks like the rugby ball, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So, yeah, you go on it and it's like Fireball, Surge in March, Explore 7 sightings. And there's just loads of stuff on it straight away. You can add stuff, you can comment, you can put your own stuff in there.
Yeah, you
all
can.
sorts. And it's free, 100% free. You can donate to them, and I think they do a great job.
They do. They do. We've
Yeah.
got one here. I was driving high on a bridge road between Flagger and Ulman Beach. I was driving home. My wife noticed something floating over the ocean around 9:40. I turned my camera and gave the phone to my wife, and she recorded what she thought was a rocket. But no way have we recorded a rocket. And I think they actually checked as well at the time to see if there's any launches.
That's crazy. Wow, look at that one.
I think you can see there's at least 3 things there, not just one.
Yeah.
I'll
And
just
they're
play
not-
that one again for you.
They don't even, they're not moving, they're just there.
That ain't no pareidolia, is it?
No, that isn't. And this one, I'm trying, because there's so many sightings on here. I'm trying to find which one it is to the sightings that I've put up, because I downloaded these a few weeks ago.
Right.
And this is again orbs over the water. There's 2 down at the bottom and 1 at the top, as you can see.
Yeah.
This is the guy that says he sees them regularly.
So I can see 4 on there.
Yeah.
5.
so they keep like appearing and disappearing. Now, if that was flares, then they would be descending. They wouldn't be
You'd see
appearing.
them falling. Yeah, there'd be no
way they'd hang in the sky like they are.
You'd also see them go up.
Yeah. They've got like a Phoenix light look to them at the minute, haven't they?
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a commercial craft going over. You can see the aviation lights. Take us with you, Ed.
Yeah.
I mean, this goes on for about 4 minutes. It just carries on. He's just filming this, but he does actually. I can move the footage along if it'll allow me. No, it doesn't allow me to do that on this.
No, you just got to play it and wait till the end.
Yeah.
Just
He actually.
Start, we've only got 5 minutes left.
He actually gives a description. So what I might do then is if
just keep them on here.
I'll keep them on here.
Next week.
Again, another one over a beach, another one over.
Next week we are going Monday, Friday for the UFO files every week. This Friday we've got
sorry, I interrupted you.
That's right. This Friday we've got my mate coming on. He's an actor, an MMA fighter. He's making a werewolf movie like our debut.
Oh yeah.
So he's going to be coming on talking about that up in Blackpool. I don't know if he's filming it in Blackpool. That'd be a weird play. Like Blackpool werewolf in Blackpool. You never know.
There's enough werewolves running around Blackpool, mate.
There is.
Nothing.
And
just finally, I was going to ask the second video that I sent you up.
Yeah, I was just about to send that. Just about to say, do you want me to add that to the stage?
Yeah,
there is a video, high resolution video of I can't say what platform it was taken from. I can't say where it was taken from, but an object that do you know how large an offshore oil derrick is? They're huge, right? Yeah. They're like almost like a small city, right? They're like one city block. They're huge. They're enormous things. There is a video that shows one of these objects underwater that goes by. The speed was calculated between 450 and 550 knots underwater, and it was bigger than the offshore derrick that it was passing, because you could see in the video the offshore derrick, and you could see this thing zip right by it.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just to ascertain that, it's what did he say? Between 450 and 500 knots.
500 knots.
Yeah. So you're talking, about at least 350 miles an hour?
Easy. As far as I'm aware, we don't have anything that can go that speed.
So the fastest thing they said that we've got is something like, is it 40, 50 miles an hour?
Yeah. Currently, in our inventory. Yeah.
Well, what we're told we've got. But anyway.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't be really redeveloping Boom and Concorde if we could do that underwater. There would be no need to put planes in the sky. We'd just shoot across to Australia in 20 seconds flat.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I know.
Just, dodge the Kraken and,
Yeah. But do you watch my outro video? Because I go deep with that, because it is about USOs.
I've very well done.
So we've got a new outro video for the UFO files that you guys seen a bit of before. Same music, still love the music, but I've just so it's not the same beginning and end. Just mix it up a bit.
Switches it up a bit, doesn't it?
Yeah. You love staying busy, don't you?
I'm sending him help.
Three videos are made, and
an AI addiction.
Yes, there's an intervention coming.
Because now I'm at the point now where I can make stories with it.
Yeah.
So if you watch it, so I've done one for somebody else, for their YouTube channel, and then I'm in the middle of doing Bigfoot Dwarfs, and that'll be done by this weekend. Yeah. And I've got the stuff to do for Festival of Unexplained. Then I'm not doing anything for a couple of weeks. I'm having some time off of editing and what have you.
Yeah.
He says. Not a little bit. 10-second videos easy. Don't even
Well,
have to do
I'll get
anything.
some show reels up as well this week. So
Yeah.
I haven't got such a manic week this week, so I've got time to do a bit of that.
Yeah, 4-day week, isn't it? I
Yes.
still think today's Sunday, and it's
I
just
know.
absolutely thrown
Talk
me
about
off.
missing time.
Yeah. We,
So, for those that don't know, merch store is now open with the new logo and image. So it's a red, silver, and blue Alienate UK. Where is that? Have we got it on here? This. So it's a mix up of the logo, the text, both of them together, one on their own. Some are front and back, some are side, different caps, bottles, iPhone cases, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I've got all that on there.
Does that mean I'm going to need a new key ring now next time I see you? Because you've
Yeah,
changed it again.
mine dropped off.
Yeah.
Did it?
How's your little alien, the jar? How did that work out?
Ooh. Oh, you've not seen it. So it's in alcohol now. He's pissed. But he's back to the original colour that it was when I first got it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Better
But
preserved.
when it was in water for about 8 months, it started growing all like fungusy stuff around its eyes and what have you. So I took it out, cleaned it. That was not a job. It is thing, and it's back to normal colour. So it's got that yellowy tinge.
I love the way
to
you just
it,
keep
orange.
showing us its butthole, you know?
Yeah, why'd you do that? You need some
I'm just-
pop on it or something.
I'm turning it round to place it back on its mat. It's got like a anti-slip coaster. because
And there was you, mate. It's like, it's real. Look, it's got Uranus.
Hey, there you
What
go.
about you, Mr. Code?
Your face. Nothing wrong. So yeah, it's in 99.9% alcohol with a top up of water.
Yeah.
I like a thimble, so it's all good. It's not rotted. Nothing's come off it. Just all the little bits of particle that were hanging off have just dropped to the bottom. But I'm going to seal it up now, and that's it. So
Again,
whatever
any
it is-
radiologists who are interested and want to invite Andy to your X-ray centre, please let us know, because we would love to actually see what's going on inside that jar.
Yeah, I don't need X-ray, and I'm all right. I reckon.
So you say.
I'm not saying a word.
No, me either.
Wow, yeah. So that's it. So back on Wednesday with Nicole, where we do reality check. Not sure what we're going to be talking about this week, but we might just do a Q&A, see how it goes. Why not? Just makes
Talk
it
about the
easy for
moon
me.
mission, man. If anyone spots anything tonight, or if they
Ooh.
cut the feed, I mean, what they normally do if there's something interesting they don't want us listening to, they do blue screen, don't they? They cut it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, all the time. So that's what they're good at. But yes, so if you want any merch, you can go there. I did have, here it is.
Ooh,
Nice.
liking that, dude.
So I'm using fourthwall.com, which is linked direct to the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
It's the first link as you go into the description, but it's also I've linked my Instagram page to it as well.
Yeah.
So if you go on it, you can find me on Instagram and
Yeah.
what have you. So it just keeps everything running together. So that's it. Nothing else. Back on Friday with Damien, where he's talking about his werewolf movie. And then next Monday, we have... Who do you think we have? Can you remember? Jay. He's a good friend, both me and Jay. So Jay don't know there's going to be issues, mate.
Who's this? Adam?
No. I need to get in touch with Adam, actually.
I've forgotten. I've been to bed since then, mate.
Steve Mera.
Oh, dude. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, so Steve Mera on Monday and Kevin Day on Friday, Mr. Tic Tac. that'll be a good
Did you watch the Bob Lazar thing over the weekend? The release?
No, because I got it and then I couldn't get it and then I had to pay for it. And I'm like, I'm going to wait until I don't have to pay for it
Yeah.
because I'm
Oh,
tight.
dude, I just paid the price for it. I
I
think
was
it
going to, but
$12.99 or something on
yeah,
Prime.
I had to get some bits for my camera. I got some ND
So well
filters and what have you. So,
So well done, man. I thought what Jeremy did a great job, Jeremy Corbell, for
Yeah.
yeah.
anyone who hasn't watched Area 51 and Flying Saucers with Bob Lazar. I thought this covered all the areas that Jeremy sort of missed out on.
Yeah.
And again, watch the Joe Rogan interview as well that was released, I think, the next day.
Yes, yeah.
You know,
Ah,
I've always believed
yes.
Bob's story personally, but
Yeah, he's never ever changed it
Not changed it, no.
from day one.
Well, I
And if
shall
you
be
want-
doing that this week and then reporting back to you on Monday about it then.
Yes. Oh, and then a few of us are doing a recording on Saturday
Oh,
for
yes, we
a
are.
specific person in Texas.
Ah,
It should be
wonder
fun.
who that could be.
Yes. That could be going down.
Abby
a
don't
rabbit
know. Abby
Yeah,
don't know.
Andy don't know either. Right. So thanks, Jay. Thank you, Abby. Pleasure
Thank
as
you.
always. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Thank you for your comments, subscribing, tier membership, and everything else. And that's it. So please do watch the outro. There's a lot of relevances to what we've been talking about today. And see you on Wednesday. Take care and good night.
Good night.
Signal acquisition initiated. Cross-referencing anomaly archives. Pattern recognition complete. Aether 8 online. Proceed.
Welcome back. You found it again. The UFO files. Broadcasting round the clock on Alien 8 UK. Red-eye listeners, insomniacs, sky watchers, van drivers on the long haul. You're tuned to the only station that stares back at the dark with you. 24 hours, we circle the same old questions. Lights over the north, shadows over the south. Phone lines open, headphones on, blinds half drawn. I got case notes spread like takeaway menus. Highlighters bleeding through until sunrise. Coordinates scribbled on coffee stained napkins from a truck stop somewhere near the east coast. We don't do jump scares here, we do the long stare out the window at 3:33 a.m. when the estate's asleep and the sky feels too crowded. You call him with that voice, half whisper, half there. First time chatter, long time watcher, and the hairs rise on every neck in frequency range. Maybe it's satellites, maybe it's stories we tell, so we're not alone in these flickering terraces and rented rooms. Either way, keep your dial right here. This is the UFO Files. Alien 8 UK. All night, every night, every night, every night, every night, every night. Welcome back.
Alien 8 UK.